As a result of protests over Mahsa Amini's passing while being held by the morality police for wearing unsuitable dress, the Iranian government shut down the internet, and Elon Musk indicated that he would activate Starlink in that country. Welcome back to Entirely Elon Musk. Let's take a look at what's happening in Iran and how Elon Musk is involved. Before we move on, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and turn that post notification on. So, without further ado, let's get started. Iranian protesters and police engaged in physical altercations during demonstrations over the death of a young lady while in police custody, drawing a severe response from a conservative Islamic government that is facing criticism over the strict application of its morality rules. Authorities have taken action to quell the public outrage expressed after Mahsa Amini, 22, died while being held for allegedly disobeying Iran's strict Islamic dress code. The number of demonstrators in Tehran is lower than the previous days. Still, they are just as fierce, blocking traffic in the city's heart and yelling anti-Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei slogans. Riot police arrived in force to put an end to the unrest. In video shared online and verified by Storyful, demonstrators are seen in Mashhad, Iran's second-largest city, aggressively rocking a van and assaulting a security guard in large numbers. The Wall Street Journal's parent company, News Corp, is the owner of Storyful. Government representatives claim that they had detained foreigners in connection with the turmoil, a strategy they had previously employed in response to protest. Authorities once more shut down internet access at protesters' gathering places in an effort to stifle their capacity to communicate and broadcast photographs to the public. As per the Kurdish human rights group Henga, on September 19th, officials opened fire on demonstrators in Mahsa Amini's northwest Kurdish area of Iran. Authorities stated that at least 3 people were killed. As police dispersed protesters elsewhere with tear gas and water cannons, dozens of people were hurt. The government has concurrently displayed some signals of reconciliation. According to state media, Mr. Khamenei's emissaries visited Mrs. Amini's families to express their condolences and reassure them that their rights would not be overlooked. The nation's news media, which enjoys some freedom within some constraints, has been permitted to highlight the issue surrounding Mrs. Amini's passing prominently. Deputy Director of the Middle East North Africa Program at the Royal Institute of International Affairs, Sanam Vakil, predicted that if protests persist, the government will likely repress the population more severely than before. Authorities broke up widespread economic protests in 2019 with the use of force, which resulted in more than 100 fatalities. By modifying how the dress code policies are put into practice, they might be able to respond this time with some measure of reform, according to Ms. Vakil. They might attempt to institute some form of accountability to go along with the repressive regime. It's past due, she remarked. The demonstrations show how gender limitations have energized a sizable secular populace that has long resented being ruled by religion. More women disobey laws mandating them to cover their heads and dress modestly. The protests pose another obstacle for the administration of President Ebrahim Raisi, a cleric chosen in a low turnout election last year after the majority of moderate candidates were disqualified. The country's finances are in ruins, with the inflation running at over 50% and the currency reaching a record low versus the dollar this year. Crushing US sanctions have thwarted Mr. Raisi's economic objectives. This year's most recent protests in Iran are those in response to Mrs. Amini's passing. Teachers, farmers, and professionals from the middle class have also flocked to the streets to protest the plight of the economy and demand an election of a new administration. Protesters have demanded Mr. Raisi's resignation because he has backed tight enforcement of the nation's Islamic dress code. A state media reported that Mr. Raisi called the family of Miss Amini to offer his condolences and instructed the Interior Ministry to look into her passing. Mr. Raisi is currently in New York, where he will speak to the UN General Assembly and mingle with other world leaders. Many in the West, including the US, the European Union, and the UN, have condemned Miss Amini's killing. The Iranian Foreign Ministry criticized the Western responses to the passing of Miss Amini as reflecting a double standard by denouncing Iran while tolerating other injustices. Iran maintained its digital cat and mouse game with protesters, cutting off internet access in protest zones only to have people leave to get a signal before returning to the demonstrations. In an apparent effort to increase access to outside information in Iran during most recent protests, Elon Musk stated that his satellite internet system, Starlink, would seek an exception to sanctions to make its service available there. The suggestion was made on Twitter by Mr. Musk, the founder of Space Exploration Technologies Corp., also known as SpaceX, in response to a tweet from Irfan Kasrai, a journalist and PhD scholar who claims to speak Persian. According to Mr. Kasrai, such access would alter the game for the future. To assist Iranians, including journalists and dissidents, access the internet in the nation, a cottage industry of programs has emerged, some partially financed by the US government. Starlink might provide these tools with a significant new source of internet access. SpaceX has been developing Starlink, a satellite-enabled high-speed internet service, for many years. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Starlink was recently made available there. Users need special Starlink kits that include an antenna to access the service. It was not immediately apparent how or to whom Mr. Musk intended to deliver Starlink kits to in Iran. SpaceX representatives did not directly answer an inquiry for comment. Days after SpaceX owner Elon Musk indicated he would seek an exemption from sanctions to sell his company's Starlink satellite service in the Islamic Republic, the United States said that it was loosening export restrictions on Iran to boost internet services. According to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, the additional conditions will help fight the Iranian government's effort to spy and censor its citizenry. He continued, "It is evident that the Iranian regime is terrified of its people. In Tehran and other cities, thousands of people participated in counter-protests organized by the government to defend the hijab." Iran's Mehr news agency reported that the massive rally of Iranian people condemning the conspirators and the sacrileges against religion took place today. State television aired images of black chador-clad protesters in the heart of Tehran who favored their hijab. Amini passed away on September 16th, 3 days after being hospitalized due to her arrest by the Morality Police, an organization tasked with upholding the Islamic Republic's stringent clothing code for women. Activists said that she was struck in the head while in jail, but the Iranian government disputes this and has launched an investigation. Anger-fueled demonstrations broke out after she was declared dead and spread to major cities, including her home region of Kurdistan and Isfahan, Mashhad, Shiraz, and Tabriz. Videos online show protesters burning a sizable billboard with the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's portrait in the city of Babol, in the northern Mazandaran province. The unconfirmed video shows demonstrators allegedly setting a base of the notorious Basij militia on fire on Ferdowsi Street in the center of Tehran. It was not immediately verifiable. According to video footage that has gone viral on social media, some activists have loudly torn off their hijabs and torched them in bonfires and symbolically chopped their hair off in front of cheering audiences. State news agency IRNA said protesters have thrown stones at security personnel, burned police vehicles, and screamed anti-government chants. According to social media footage showing demonstrators bleeding severely, and the authorities responding with live bullets, pellet guns, and tear gas, the Center for Human Rights in Iran in New York reported. In what online monitoring device NetBlocks has described as a curfew-style pattern of disturbances, internet connectivity has been impeded. Online platforms continued to be limited, connectivity for many users is patchy, and mobile internet continues to be disrupted, according to NetBlocks. According to Iran's Fars news agency, actions were taken in response to counter-revolutionaries' efforts against national security via these social networks. "We must distinguish between vandals and protesters," stated President Ibrahim Raisi during a news conference in New York as he was attending the UN General Assembly. The disturbance occurs at a difficult time for the Iranian government because the country's economy is still struggling due to its US sanctions related to its nuclear program. Members from Congress from New York and New Jersey had pushed the US Treasury Department to agree if SpaceX requested a license to provide internet access to Iran. According to a report from Fox News, the plea was submitted to the Treasury Department by Tom Malinowski of New Jersey and Claudia Tenney of New York. Musk had previously stated that the SpaceX would apply for an exception to the nation's penalties. SpaceX has already used Starlink to respond to emergencies in the South Pacific islands of Tonga following a volcanic eruption, and Ukraine during a Russian invasion. Authorities believe that they can control the protests by restricting the internet. But this time, young Iranians are speaking against decades of repression, arguably bolder than ever. With help from the outside world and internet access from Elon Musk, Iranians have a chance to fight. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.